but so I've just added some of this green. And what I think I was starting to say, one of the benefits of painting with an underpainting is if you screw up, you can always just wipe it down and you haven't lost a huge amount of ground. Now I'm just getting some general. So I'm working from the red browns to the greens to the blue greens and then the sky blue. So you're getting the underpaint is already going to have like a receding I don't know what word it is. I will now I'm going to be using a little more of a blue green. Again, it's extremely thin. You can see. This is, by the way, this is just a little palette that I use for students when we're starting to do more simple academic studies. I teach them, and you can see how this is set up in value. I think if you get control of your values in a painting, that's half the battle. That's more than half the battle in achieving realistic effects, emulating nature and defining form and so forth. So I'm going to start at one of the lowest value blues that I'm going to use, because then I'll bring it up. Anybody have any questions, or I'll try to keep painting when I answer the questions.
So with all those colors that you mixed in,
yeah.
What's your basic palette? Which colors are you working from to extrapolate all those out?
The general colors that I would. Yeah, I mean, this. What I'm doing is called a closed palette. It's a very controlled palette. There are different methods of painting. Plein air painters tend to, I think they have what might be called an open palette, where you're kind of mixing on the fly. So so what I've done here is, again, just it's almost like a tinted photograph type of look. So, and I'm going to reduce that even more, because I don't want the paint film to be anything but a whisper, and basically just a lubrication for the application of what's next. And what I do is what do I do next?
Break them.
Yeah, it's time for me to stop talking. Just do it. What I do is, generally speaking, as you can see in this painting, I start working deep. When I start getting into detail, I will paint the sky first, and I'll move forward. So I'm going to be painting, and starting getting into details of this, then the background, and the midground, and the middle foreground, and then the foreground. So I'll be cycling through as I paint. So I'm not going to be painting in between the sky, in between trees, so forth. Which I do that sometimes. You have to do that sometimes, but it is somewhat methodology is it's sensible. Doesn't always work like that. I'm going to start light and then go down in value. And you can see I'm really not I'm not really getting too noodly with this. I'm still working in generalized way. So, and I'm going to be muting this again. I'm going to be working in smoothing out and blending and so forth. Let's get some of these. And I do want to be mindful of not obliterating the underpainting, even though it is a rough underpainting.
So you use the underpainting for the details of the finished work?
Yes, I'll use this as reference for the color, and then I've taken photos of this scene, and so I'll be able to zoom in on any details that I want to, If I wanted to implement, if I did more detailed sketches or color sketches of little, I might have done, a study of the rocks here. I would have that tacked up in my studio. If I had a study of a particular tree that I wanted to bring emphasis of, or a particular lighting effect that was, like a fleeting lighting effect, I might have a photo of it, or a sketch, or a drawing posted up to give me, I can look. But I use I like using whatever I can to achieve the look that I want to. Going to bring as the vault of the sky comes down, you get, as the sky goes up, the vault of the sky, you're getting dark, the values are going down to a certain point. And so generally speaking, you're going to be getting a higher value down when you're looking at the blue sky down towards the horizon. So I'm always.
Do you find it's somewhat warmer as you get near the horizon?
Yeah, it can be. And I'm one of these guys who, sometimes what is actually there doesn't work for me for the painting, so I'll change the nature just because it works for me. But so I'm not. I use it as a guide, but I'm not trying to.
I just read an article about Edgar Payne and how he did that a lot more than I ever realized. He moved mountains.
Yeah.
Eliminate mountains.
Oh yeah, compress them and
take a leaf from 20 miles away and put it in front of
Sure. Yeah, and sometimes they're painting. But you can see I'm just generalizing here. Now, this may be a little bit too chromatic. So what I'm going to do is this value is 987. So if I want to knock it down and not change the value, I'll grab a little bit of the 7 value of neutral, and you can see I haven't changed the value at all, but I have knocked down the chroma a bit. And you can do that. You can do that with finding a similar complementary color or something. But I find generally if I've got the color I want control it to be that color. I just wanted it muted, a bit more muted. And subtlety is what I'm after. So these are these areas of the. Now this, I'm painting, you see, I haven't added any medium to this paint. Medium, or the oil that I had, it's very, there's a whisper thin underneath there, but it gives it gives blendability, so. And you'll see that when I start smushing all this together. So I've got some purples here that I want to work in a little bit around the edges here. Now, the whole kind of rigid setup that I have here, I think, you know, some people have joked that it means that, you know, I'm painting by numbers, but for me, it gives me freedom to kind of wing it more. I do like working from an open palette and seeing what, but if I'm after something subtle, I did a lot of doing the preliminary work of pre-mixing colors that I frequently use is, I think it's a way I can have more freedom to have what I need right on hand, so. And this is not for everyone. I think some people have an idea that, you know, one thing I've discovered is that there's not one right way to develop a painting. This is merely my idiosyncratic way of getting things to work for me. It's not going to work for everybody. But there are the principles of value and chroma and hue are pretty across the board. They're just kind of fact. It's what you do with them. It's a tool. But if my life doesn't allow me to do that, I'm not going to crack up if I need to rely on other means. I think that the Hudson River painters, I love the way that they develop things. I mean, I think plein air painting was more of a way to capture what was needed, doing on-site sketching, studies, color notations, and so forth, was, and then to bring it back to do a studio painting. And then plein air painting became a highly valued thing in and of itself, and I love doing that. It's just, I'm also drawn to highly finished paintings, and if anybody knows the woods of Maine and anywhere else, you're dealing with changeability of weather, you're dealing with bugs smashing into your wet paint, you're dealing with, so I can't get the highly polished look that I'm after in a studio painting in plein air. Some people can, and frankly, I'm blown away with how they can do that.